Hello, welcome back to Magnolia Ridge Farm and Garden. My name is Krista, and today I want to talk about microgreens. So I am doing the Three Rivers Pantry Challenge. If you want more information on that, go to Three Rivers Homestead channel, and she explains what that is. It's a no grocery shopping for 2 months, and you eat out of your stores of food and things that you've put up. So you can kind of make your own rules. I will let her explain that, but one of the things that recently happened with me is I cheated. I went to Costco and I bought a bag salad because I was craving it. Like, I went through there and I was like, oh my God, I need a fresh salad, which you don't think about. And I'm not the biggest salad person, like, obviously, but it sounded so good because I had not had any fresh greens in like 4 weeks. So other than cabbage, which we do still have in our refrigerator from our garden, but I wanted something fresh, and it was the best salad ever. Like, it was so good. So I realized one of the things that I have not been doing is growing microgreens. And I do grow microgreens, and they are great for stir fries, things like that. So I thought maybe it's time that I get some started, and I thought I would share with you. Microgreens is one of the things that I teach in the early gardening stages, because anybody can do it. If you are in an apartment, if you are teaching kids, if you are on a big farm, if it's in the winter, if it's in the summer, you can grow microgreens. So one of the things that I want to do is first I'm going to go over the benefits of microgreens, and then kind of like how to and different types of microgreens, and then we're going to actually start some microgreens. So one of the first things that I learned when I started growing microgreens is that microgreens are a superfood. Now, if you go to places like California, Whole Foods, New York, high-end restaurants, they will serve microgreens. And there are tons of places that you can purchase microgreens. But the thing about microgreens is because they are such young greens, they lose their nutrition value really fast after harvest. So it's actually better to grow your microgreens than to go buy the microgreens, because if you're buying them from a grocery store, for example, or even a farmer's market, they have to be picked and then cleaned, bagged up, and then shipped somewhere, and then you get them. And you don't know if they were shipped that morning from where they were grown, or if they were put in cold storage for a day or two. You just don't know, like any other food. And the longer food is from harvest, the more nutritional value they lose. And with microgreens, they are a superfood. They are super packed with nutrition in these tiny little leaves. And the leaves, I don't know how to actually pronounce this, so I actually wrote it down because I will butcher it. And they are called cotyledon. Does that sound right? Cotyledon. And it refers to the embryonic leaves, like the little tiny baby leaves. I never really hear that word said, so I've only just read it. So I'm not quite sure how it's pronounced. So if you know, put it in the description below, because I know I butchered it. And that's just more than my southern speak. I just don't know how to pronounce that word. But anyway, young seeds to be microgreens are usually harvested in 7 to 10 days. So it's a week. You can have fresh greens in a week, and you can make them into a salad. You can put them in stir fry. You can put them on a pizza. You can do so many things with these little leaves, and you can get a ton of them in a very small space because you can grow them so densely, and they have just a ton of health benefits. So they provide more nutrition than the mature leaves. So they have all the same nutrition that is in like a broccoli head. All of that nutrition in a broccoli head is actually condensed into these tiny little leaves. So you can get so much more nutrition in a small amount of food than you can in the full mature plant. Microgreens have a ton of vitamin C. They are loaded with beta carotene. They're loaded with vitamin K. They're loaded with vitamin E. So there's no reason not to eat microgreens, and they're so easy to grow. So you can get microgreens basically from anywhere. You can go to like Handy Pantry or any Whole Food type place or Amish country store, places like that, and they will sell them in bags like this. So this one is sprouting broccoli. This one is mung bean. This one is alfalfa and peas. But you can also go to the dollar store, and the dollar store has them in packs for $1 from American Seed, and you can get mild mix or hot mix, which is like spicy with radishes and stuff like that. You can get, here's another one, these are pelleted, so you can get hot mix microgreens, and they advertise in as little as 5 days and as little as 10 days. The type of seeds is going to depend on how long, but I say 7 to 10. Another place, like these are from Botanical Interests. They carry microgreens, so you can get already made microgreen packets. You can also make them yourself, which is what I typically do. So this is my microgreen container here. And I went to my local seed store and I asked for different types of brassica seeds, and I like pointed out what I wanted, because you want brassicas and seeds that are going to kind of grow at the same rate, or at least within a day of each other, so that you can get your harvest at one time. So I actually self-mixed my seeds, and this used to be full. So that is what I do. Now you can grow them in soil, because you're going to clip them off. Unlike when you sprout in water, like in a jar or something, microgreens you can grow in soil because you're going to clip them off. You don't have to eat the root because you're after the actual green leaves. Or you can grow them on like a coir mat like this, or rock wool, something like that. So you don't have to grow them in dirt if you don't want to bring dirt into the house. So you can grow them on a variety of things. You can also grow them in a variety of things. You just need a very shallow pan. So for example, this right here is very, very thin. Compared to my nail, it's like the tip of my nail. So it's tiny. So you don't need anything. You could do it in a sheet pan. So you can get a sheet pan from the dollar store, or a sheet pan from Goodwill, or if you have an extra sheet pan, and you can lay this out on a sheet pan and you're good to go to grow a lot of microgreens. One of the ways I do it, oh, I got that all over me. Wow. One of the ways I do it are these takeout trays. So you can get them from, if you have been out to eat and you save these to store food in, or you can go to Costco and get a whole stack of them. You can do whatever, but I like these. They recommend they have holes in them, but I honestly don't use them with holes. I actually prefer to use the lid as a little greenhouse effect to get them started. And I just missed mine. So you don't really need the holes in them because you're not soaking them in water. So I'm going to show you how to plant some microgreens. So you need a little bit of soil, and this is a bag that I already have. It's a Fox Farm potting soil. You can do it actually in seed starting mix, which is probably the best, but I already have this in here, and it's a very loose potting soil. Normally I would do this outside, but everything's set up in here. So, and I'm just going to get a little dirt. And what you want to do is you want to wet this. It's probably a little too much to start with. So I have my spray bottle here. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pour some in. You want this wet, but not soaking. You want it to kind of hold together so that you know that this soil is going to absorb. So when you squeeze it, you want it to hold together, but you don't want it running out. And it actually did run out a little bit, but I've got more dirt down on the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and put it in my container so I can get all this dirt. Yeah, see, now it's not really squeezing out. So that's actually really good. And you only need about 1 inch of dirt. Now, this food container is a little bit taller. So I don't want my microgreens struggling to get to the light. So I'm going to fill it up a little bit more, but some of them are shallow, but this one's pretty tall. I mean, it's like an inch tall. So I'm going to fill it up just a tad bit more because I don't want my microgreens struggling to get light. Although we're going to harvest them young, so we're not really worried about them getting leggy. So I could leave it at that. But I think that's a little better. Okay. Now that we have our seed starting mix in place, we just need our seeds. So a little trick that I do for microgreens is old spice containers, because they have these great holes on them already that are perfect for seeds. So if you don't have any of those, you can also use a toothpick holder. I found this one at Walmart. We needed toothpicks, so I went ahead and splurged for the plastic container, and you can see you can shake them out pretty evenly that way. But this one works really great too, because you just shake them out nice and even, and you want a really good coverage because they're going to be dense, and that's what you want. I don't know if this will show it. Yeah, see, you want a dense coverage because you're going to harvest them young. All right, and now the trick is you take your spray bottle and you spray them down. And you get them really wet. And then you put your lid on and you put them by a window. And within a day, they will start to sprout. And you can monitor them literally by day. So this is a great project to do with the kids because they will love, especially if you have younger kids, they will love to watch the changes in that. You can have them do it. Now, what I recommend, the reason I like these takeout containers is because they are small, and I feel like that's 1 meal worth for a family of 4. So you can start one today, and then in 2 or 3 days, I will probably start another so that you can continuously have microgreens ready to go every few days. So you can start them once a week, you could start them every day, you could start them every few days, and depending on the size of your family, you can start multiple ones or use multiple sizes of containers that would suit you better. But these work great for a family of 4 because I can harvest this whole package and make a stir fry or add to a salad, you know, with one of my cabbages, something like that, and get some really beneficial vitamins into my kids. So I will, like I said, probably start another one in about 3 days. And this is perfect to have during the winter and have on hand in the really heat of the summer because you can grow it inside where it's cooler when your lettuces and things can't grow because it's too hot or it's too cold. So those in between for getting fresh foods. I don't typically do it in the summer. I typically only do it during the winter. But it's still a great option to have, especially if you don't have a big garden and you don't have a lot of room to grow things. If you are a container gardener, you can still grow leafy greens to harvest and use with tomatoes and carrots or whatever you're growing in containers to make fresh salads. So I hope this has been beneficial to you, especially if you are doing the pantry challenge, because this is a great way to get some fresh greens into your system without going out and buying the fresh produce. So we will check back in on this. This is Saturday. So I will actually get this video up tonight, and tomorrow will be week 6 recap of the pantry challenge. And then next week, this will be 8 days. So week 7 recap, I will be able to show you the progress of these greens and maybe even have used them for dinner that night. So if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed, think about subscribing so you can stay tuned and see the microgreens next week. Thanks for watching.